And I want to invite everyone to not look at me for a moment, but at the candles to my right. I want us to watch for a moment the flames of the candles flicker. And I want you to meditate on what is it that's bringing you light on this Shabbat. What brought you to choose to come to Shir Chadash tonight, to pray, and to let Shabbat in together as a community? I want to share a small snapshot from Kabbalat Shabbat at my synagogue in Boston, where I serve on the prayer leadership team. During the Chadodi, after we have warmed up with candle lighting, with singing, dancing, and contemplation, we rise at the last verse to welcome in the Sabbath bride, much as you do here at Shir Chadash and as is traditional throughout the Jewish world. And every week at that moment, the rabbi invites us to take the passion and the energy we have been building all service long, the heat that we have tended to, starting from the second that we lit those flames. And she instructs us to go outside to bring the Shabbat and light that we have inside to the whole world, no matter the weather. And as we've discussed, in Boston, this can be a tall order come wintertime. But no matter how rainy or snowy or below freezing it might be, we smile and bring what we have cultivated inside the walls of the synagogue, outside, to the streets of Boston, as the nighttime of Shabbat has descended onto the world. When we, as a community, step outside the boundaries of our sanctuary, we assert that the light we are building there together is a light that is worth spreading. This week, we read in Parshat Bo about the plague of darkness that enveloped all of Egypt. This darkness was not, the commentator Sforno writes, merely the absence of light that could be dispelled by kindling a fire. This was an opaque darkness. Nothing could penetrate it. A darkness that another commentator describes, Ibn Ezra, that it could be grasped, could be felt in your hand. This pitch dark was so all-encompassing that we are told, Lo ra'u ish et achiv. People cannot see one another, not even the person sitting right next to them. We can imagine the intense isolation that the Egyptians must have felt in this punishment for Pharaoh's stubbornness. After suffering a series of plagues that rendered their livestock dead, crops unusable, and lives miserable, this plague of darkness was a plague of isolation. Each Egyptian left to fend for themselves, unable to see and be seen, unable to reach out to a neighbor, a sibling, a friend. The Israelites, by contrast, are granted some respite in this moment. The Torah writes, Ulechol bnei Yisrael haya or b'moshavotam. But all of the Israelites had light in their dwelling places. These slaves, who had suffered so much, were able to preserve the light of connection within their homes. The Torah invites us to imagine the Israelites in their dwelling places, together, tending to their hearths, caring for each other. Rabbi Abraham Twersky writes, the essence of Torah is consideration of others. If one lights a candle for oneself, the room becomes brighter for everyone else as well. Likewise, if one brings light to another, one sees oneself more clearly as a result through that light. Judaism is a wisdom tradition that prizes community over isolation, connection over disengagement, care and love over neglect. Rabbi Twersky reminds us that to be a Jew is to be someone who brings light to others and who sees light in and through others. A Hasidic master, the Or HaMe'ir, whose commentary we will study together tomorrow morning in Torah studies, that's a little advertisement for you all, teaches that when the Torah tells us that people cannot see one another, it means that they didn't consider them, that they didn't take to heart how much they could learn from the goodness of the people around them. In these difficult and divided times, I am carrying with me the wisdom of both Rabbi Twersky and the Or HaMe'ir, the reminder that we each have great capacity to bring light to each other, and we each have great capacity to receive light from each other if we are able to see and elicit the goodness in every one of us. In the words of former National Youth Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman, but one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and changes our children's birthright. There is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it. I am so grateful to be here with all of you this Shabbat. Thank you for welcoming me so warmly. May we all be brave enough to see the light that can surround us, whether it appears in the face of a loved one, in the moments when we care for each other, or when we see and bring forth the goodness that each of us has to offer. May we be brave enough to be this light. Shabbat Shalom.